Storm of Doom!
Welcome back to Storm of Doom, everybody. We're going to do a little clip here on minions. So, to find out whether or not they are going to be trash or treasure. And the perfect thing about this is it's just going to be a fun video. There's probably going to be a lot of other opinions with this. But this is just from my experience from playing this game for so long that this is where I am at in this game. So, you can take, if you have a love for a minion, you can take this with a grain of salt, but this is just from my experience. Alright, so here we go. So on msf.gg, we have 32 minions here that you can use for any teams that they actually offer here in the game. And as you can see, currently this is what I have listed, and you can kind of see already just like who I have more boosted up than everybody else. And this is a little out of date. I just realized that now because I was trying to boost Trooper up. He should actually be where Medic's at here on 13. But yeah, so that was kind of a little bit of a mistake, and we'll go into that. But so don't freak out and just lose all this credit for me for doing that. But I'll explain why, and we'll move forward. All right. So we'll start off with aim, and as you can see here, I had made this awesome spreadsheet, and I have already stated whether or not they are gonna be somewhat of a keeper or somewhat of just trash. So here you can see we have aim assaulter, and that's aim endgame, and that's at level 75 on as my character. And the reason why I had boosted assaulter up was because at the time for U7.4 I actually needed to have a team, because at the time I didn't have my symbiotes boosted up yet and didn't know what I could really use to take down some of the lanes. So I was really struggling on that. And so I had watched some other videos which are out there on what was recommended to actually use for some of those lanes, and that was one of the recommendations. So that is why I put it as endgame. You still really can't use aim assaulter for use 7.5. You will just get crushed, and I still recommend just to boost out your symbiotes for that, and then you can just solo the lanes all the way up, at least the wing lanes. The middle lanes you still have to, the Ronin node boss, you're probably still going to get stuck on a little bit, might need to go in with a softener. But I think there is a video out there as well that shows you the actual hit order to be able to take that down with your symbiotes. Alright, moving on. So Infector, that one is just plain trash. I don't even use him ever. I didn't even use him in beginner game, and I only leveled them up because I was evenly leveling up my guys just in case they would rework them. So all my guys are either at level 60 or tier 10. That's like the highest that I go for like my characters, and then I bench them, and then I don't use them. But if you're trying to save resources, don't do what I did. That will just be a waste of resources for you. There's way better characters to level up than trying to evenly match all your teams. And at the time when I was doing all that, it was because Scopely wasn't going crazy with unleashing a million characters. It seems like every month now where we have a new character. And so now obviously it's really hard to do that. Like, you can't really keep up with it. So if you're just starting to play the game, you wouldn't be able to evenly match unless you're just going to end up wailing out on the game. Alright, so I put Monstrosity as beginner game because he can be good. He has some attacks that are worth it. Like he has, I don't have this one maxed out yet, so he obviously cannot apply defense down for mine. But he does do 80% damage to primary targets, and he actually does do offense up for 3 turns, and so he does do some buffs, and he does gain defense down for 1 turn on this. So there is some benefits of using him, But like I said, I put him as beginner game because he is still really weak and he is not really a tank. So as you see, I put him as striker, but he might even be better off even being put as a fortifier for that as well. Alright, so for researcher, trash. Just, yeah. Also, never used. Everybody always used to say at the beginning, like, oh, you should use researcher. But I've tried, and it's just frustrating. Just don't even bother. And security. That one I put as mid-game because this one is actually decent, but it's still too weak to really bring her up to the final endgame status for her. So, but she does have, she does do some damage, some heavy damage, and she does apply slow. And she has some healing abilities here as well, and she applies more slow, and she does taunt. And then, as you can see here, she has more health and resistance. So she is good, but you really would have to, like, really work on her and get her really up if you're going to use her. And at this point with the game and how Scopely's going with all the characters, it's just not worth it. So that's why I put her as mid-game. If you're just starting to play out, you could probably use her pretty close throughout some of the other games or the other levels. Alright, so next we're going to go with the actual hand team. So hand is going to be here. Alright. So on this handy dandy spreadsheet that I made, as you can see, the very first one here is hand archer, and it's trash. Just plain trash. It's tempted to do this all the time now, and I'm just like, nope, not doing it. Not doing it. I didn't even put ISO on there. I just did the first notch here because it'll automatically increase it by 1,000 points, make it a little bit stronger. But yeah, no, just don't do it. I keep trying to use him, and I am just solely disappointed every time. Alright, so hand assassin. This one was supposed to be really good. So I made it mid-game because she's not end-game material at all. So she was supposed to be reworked because she has some abilities that can make her great, like this heal block, more heal block, and yeah, just a heavy hitter. But yeah, as you can see, I didn't even put ISO on her either. So most of hand is just yeah, it needs a rework bad. Hand Blade Master, trash, very much so. Yeah, another one where it's like I've tried to use him a million times and things, and hoping that maybe he'd be better. I try to put him in other teams to see maybe he just needs something else, kind of like a specialty thing. But yeah, it doesn't work. It just does not work. So yeah, the only really good hand character that we really have that's a minion is this Hand Sentry. And Hand Sentry, I need to actually update his ISO a little more. I did get him to tier 11, but what makes him so good is the fact that he has stealth right here on his special ability, and he can, well, this is awesome. I should probably look into this, but he has evade, and he can do that to 4 allies, and he just has, the stealth is good because he does it to the entire team. And then he increases his damage, and he does these block chances. So, and the block chances go up every time. So you start off with 15%, and then you get another 5%, so that puts it at 20. And then if you do this one, you get another 5, and that'll make it at 25% block chance. So 25, it's not really that great, but at the end of the day, this is the best hand sentry you could probably get, and I know a lot of people are still using him in raids and other events. So Alright, so Hand Sorceress is the next one. And this one was supposed to also be good. There's a lot of uptalk at the beginning about how this one was going to be the greatest healer of all times. And as you can see, they had a 600 plus healing on her last one. She does all this, but she doesn't really heal that great with my team. I don't know. I've tried everything. I've tried using her, and maybe I'm just not doing it right. So if you guys got suggestions on how to make her better, great. Obviously, this will probably be a healer ISO on her as well. And but yeah, she's not really a heavy hitter. So don't expect her to do any heavy punches for you. She's really just there to heal your team. And so she's kind of weak sauce, so yeah. So I just put her as beginner game because she is decent at the beginning, but after you start to really advance in the game, it's just going to taper off drastically. So, alright, let's move on to Hydra. Hydra. Alright. So here, come on. Wow, super leggy. Alright. Alright, so here I have Hydra Armor Guard. This one I put mid-game because when Red Skull came out, he actually is like his right-hand man, literally. So you want to really use them together, and they were meant to be in war together. So that's really why they're supposed to be there. As you can see, my Hydra team is kind of lame. I got my Zemo finally up to 90k, but I'm going to bring him into even higher so I can get him into DD4. He's my next one after my Emma to get up as well. Definitely worth it. And he's pretty much, he can like literally, he's like solo, like Zemo solo. Like he doesn't need the rest of the team to be good. I use him on my Zemo team. I use in war, I use him in the first position. And then I actually use Red Skull, and then I actually use Grenadier. And I then use Crossbones, and I don't even use Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is awful. Now, if we weren't doing just minions, I would also say he is trash. Like, no amount of build-up is going to make that guy good. Like, he might have been, like in beginner game, you would see him a lot in raids, or you had a battle against him, and I know a lot of people were saying that, oh, he's going to be so good when you build him up, but you got to remember, too, like, the programming of these characters that you're battling against it's kind of a cheat because they will make it like stronger that you're battling against, but your character will never be that good or even appear to be that good when you have them. So yeah, it's kind of disappointing, but yeah, trash. So getting off topic here, we'll go back here. And so as we stated, Hydra Armor Guard mid game, Hydra Grenadier, I made him end game because I use him with my Zemo, and he's just really awesome. Now, Hydra Rifle Trooper, that is this guy. He is trash, like big time trash. I didn't even bother putting ISO on him either. I thought was going to be good because he has this Hail of Bullets, which is like an AoE attack, which I love AoE attack on characters. Like, it's just like my favorite, just one shot across, But he's just too weak, and it's like you really have to boost him up for him to be good, I think, and I don't think he's really going to sustain an endgame mode for you. Alright, so Hydra Scientist, I had him at beginner level because at the beginning he was used a lot. He's also the healer, so, for everything you always want to try to put a healer on your team if possible, and so that's what he was really for. He's got also the war defense with the stun, which is nice. So that's why you see him a lot in war as well. So that's why I put him as a beginner game, but a lot of people are still using him even in the end game, but they don't really do a whole lot by boosting him up. So, I mean, I do pretty decently with just him at 40k. I think I'd probably prefer him to be at 60 on my war defense. So if you are planning on doing that, it might be good just to try to get him up to that status there, or maybe tier 12 and maybe at level 71. And then you should be golden, and then make him healer for ISO as well. Alright, so Hydra Sniper, definitely trash. Just throw him in the bin. Like Hell Hades likes to say on the Raid Shadow Legends game that I also love to play. That's actually kind of inspired me to do the whole trash video here. But yeah, he's just not even worth it. There's like 40%, 25, 250%, not that great. And here you can also see, yeah, he's got some buffs. He's supposed to do some speed ups for you, and gain your turn meter to be faster. But yeah, not really that great. And you can use him in war, but you're really gonna have to boost him up a lot as well. I don't use him in mine. I just don't even bother. Maybe I should. Maybe I should just try to boost him up and see what happens. Anyways, yeah. I mean, personally, I just wouldn't waste my time. But if that's something you want to try, sure, go for it. I mean, after all, it is your game, so I'm not going to tell you what to do or what not to do. Just something that if you're trying to like help with resources. All right, let's go and move on to Kree. Kree, it is. All right, this is a little. Oh, there we go. Got it. All right. Alright, so Cyborg, he is endgame, and the reason being is you are going to use him a lot, especially in Greek raids with the cosmic teams. If you're going to have your Kree team built out, as you can see, I got lucky with my mini. This is all free. This is all free, folks. I got really lucky drops with her when the event was coming out at the beginning. It did take me forever to really get her last star, but I did finally was able to get her. And the red stars, these were all free as well. I got lucky on a 4-star drop, so that was pretty exciting. And so because of that, I ended up, using my Kree team a lot and boosting them out. I didn't have Ultimus yet. I didn't know, my Captain Marvel at the time was like 2 weeks, so I didn't really use her at all. So I used a lot of minions with her. I used Ronan. I really loved Ronan because of his AoE attack and him bringing in extra minions as well. And I was actually using Reaper, Cyborg, and Korath. So it was like, those were like my 5 guys right there, So that was actually worth it in Greek, and I got really far with that. Now with being in Greek 4.2, it's a little more challenging, and you're probably not going to be able to do it with that. But, who knows? You beast it up even more than I have, then you probably could actually make more stuff happen. But, anyway, so Kree Cyborg, definitely a must-to-have in endgame. Kree Noble, beginner game. No, that's Oracle. Sorry. Noble, yeah, him. He is really good because he had... he does like the positive effects, and then he does the assist and the offense up, and then yeah, and then he was clearing effects as well. So he was just good as a good buff remover and a buff adder on the team, but he's not a heavy damage hitter, so he's really squishy, and so he's not going to sustain at all on that. So that's why I put him as beginner game. Kree Oracle, trash. Don't even bother. I can never get him to work right. He's supposed to be, your heavy hitter, the tank of the team, He does some regeneration. It's supposed to be hard to take him down, but yeah, he definitely needs to be reworked if that's going to happen. Kree Reaper, she is pretty awesome. I actually like her. She applies bleed. She does the heal block, and she does do she actually crits. So she is actually really nice. The reason why I actually ended up taking her out because my Ronin was actually bringing her in, and I didn't really need more of her at the time. So she doesn't really get you very far. So mid game is really where she kind of like tops off at. And then Kree Royal Guard, he's just trash. Just pure trash. He has a counter, whoop-de-doo. It doesn't do you any good if he can't hit hard, He does do a taunt. It doesn't matter if he's squishy, and his armor is super weak. So, I mean, he has armor. It does gain throughout the stuff here, but you're not gaining a whole lot, so it still makes him super squishy, and I didn't even bother putting ISO on him either. So yeah, that's the Kree team for you. Alright, moving on to Mercs. Moving right along here. Alright, put that to all, and go down to Mercs. Alright, so here, there's only 4 of them, and they actually built, with that rework, they actually built the Mercs up pretty well. So a lot of people in the end game are using them on war defense because of Taskmaster. Taskmaster is just sick, especially when you boost him up. He, as you can see, I have him favorited. I'm still working on him. The Doom campaign, you can actually farm for him once you unlock that level. And so I didn't realize it, so I wasn't farming him for like ever, even though I hadn't unlocked it. I'm like, I was like, you know, you can farm for him, and I'm like, what? So I kind of hurt myself on that, so that's why he's not maxed out yet, but getting there. Trying to farm for him when I can. And so Merc Lieutenant here, oops, clicking in the middle, it's going all over the place. He is endgame because he actually is a really good healer. I actually maxed out his ultimate here for the raids because he does an additional 10% chance to heal an injured ally, and he fills the speed bar, so he's keeping the team fast with speed. But yeah, I really like him, and I don't even have him maxed yet, and he's really good. So I definitely endgame for sure. And Merc Riot Guard, he is a tank. He is a tank. You want to fortify him for sure. I have his ultimate also maxed out, and as you can see, war defense, you know, and he applies deflect, and he also gains 10% block chance, you know, so you really boost him out and he will be nasty, you know. So I'm going to have to do more of that. And Merc Sniper is beginner game. So he was one of those where he was supposed to be good. I did use him a lot. He was decent, but you can't really get him much farther. I mean, he doesn't really have anything special to him. And so, I mean, he's really close to being trash. But if I didn't, you know, because like I said, I used him a lot with the minions, and I never used Deadpool with him. I never used Killmonger with him. So it was we were really limited on who we were actually using. And because I was using Korrath with Kree, I actually needed a 5th. So it was like Bullseye, Sniper, Soldier. No, I didn't even use Soldier. I used these two. These two? Okay, maybe I did. Okay, yeah, and Soldier is trash too, and we're going to get to that. So I was like, no, I didn't use him, but no, I did. So, yeah, he's just awful. As you can see, basic. He does I guess he does clear positive effects, but, and, yeah, he gains 30% damage, so he does get a little stronger, but you really, really have to really boost him out for him to be good. So, yeah. So there's your Merc team for you. All right. So next we'll go into the Ultimus Famous Ravagers. All right. So this one, my alliance actually makes fun of me for because I got really lucky, as you can see here, with red star drops. Yeah. So everybody's always joking about how I will be ready for when they do the next rework. So I was boosting them up a little bit just because of the red stars, and thought that, you know, Scopely or Fox Next, that was originally before them, was actually going to do a rework for my Ravagers here. And yeah, sad it didn't happen. So still waiting. Alright, so Boomer. I love Boomer. And I'm probably a little biased, but I love Boomer. He is definitely not endgame though, and he's probably barely mid-game. I put him mid-game just because I used him a lot in mid-game. but he is probably more beginner game. A lot of people will use him in end game for like taking boosts off in war. If they needed a softener in BO, they'll throw a boomer in there just so that way Thanos will use his basic attack on him, and then somebody will go in with a BO right after. So there is use for him. But yeah, not really. But I do love Boomer. All right. Anyways, moving on. All right, Bruiser. So he was supposed to be good, okay, because he does the heal, and then he was supposed to be like where he regenerates or whatever, and then he was supposed to also be a heavy hitter. Well, yeah, I kept leveling him up, and he just wasn't getting better. He just was not getting better. And it was like, dude, you suck. Like, big time suck. Like, he needs the biggest rework of them all, So, and super squishy. And so, he is trash. Just trash. And then Stitcher, he's supposed to be your healer. And he is probably the worst healer you could possibly have on your team. Like, out of all the healers in the game, he is by far the worst. And so he's just not even worth it. I was like all excited to see 7 red stars, and then I'm just like, that sucks. It's like, yeah. So this is like a running joke right now on my team. But yeah, definitely trash. Big time. All right. Lastly here, we're going to go into shield. It's the last thing we need to talk about. Oops, going to do that. All right, so right off the bat, shield assault is trash. Hope that's not shield assault. Hold on, get down. As you see here, I only got her up to level 60. I do use her in Blitz, but I don't use her anywhere else. I don't use her in War. I try to use her in Raid. Yeah, it's just not even worth it. Just don't even bother. Medic, endgame for sure. She definitely great in War. If you ever battle her in War, you really should take her down first before she tries to bring Coulson into the mix. Reheals him once you take him down. So that's why I really like her. And I got her up because of 4.2 in, it wasn't Alpha. Was it Alpha? It's one of the Greeks. But anyways, it was the middle lane up. And, yeah, they have a shield team that you have to take down. And I wanted to boost my shield team up even more. And I thought putting her with Nick Fury and Trooper and some other guys. Oh yeah, Coulson, I got him up a little bit more too. And I was like, oh, we're going to be good now. And yeah, that just still didn't work. So, I mean, you can do it. You can still take them down, but it's going to be more hits, and you would want to bring them in not first, because otherwise then they're dead. And with the 4.2, there is no heals, so you're kind of out of luck. All right, so Shield Operative. Beginner game only. She does the stealth, but Nick Fury brings in Shield Operatives as well, and they also stealth. So and the problem with this is that she will heal the lowest. So if you bring her in and then there's a bunch of other Shield Operatives that bring them in, they're just going to pretty much be healing each other if you don't have that like timed out right. So there's just no point of having multiple Shield Operatives in that game. So end game, you have Shield Security. He works great with Nick Fury. Those two are like two peas in a pod. I leveled up his basic attack because of slow. But he is your tank for the team, so he's definitely worth having. And Shield Trooper, I put endgame as well because, like I said, these two I try to boost up in the 4.2, and I use them in War. And if you ever see a sick Shield Trooper, mine's pretty squishy, and maybe that's the problem I'm having, but you get him up even higher, and he is just nasty because he does that counterattack, and once he does that counterattack, yeah, it just sucks. So, But yeah, this is the order of the game results that I feel like it's at. There's some of these probably could be a little bit adjusted. And if you have any other pointers too as well, just let me know. Reach out on the comments in the video, and I will try to respond and see what I can do to improve on the next video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to more, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Minions!